Hey guys, thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And I hope you enjoyed this interview. All right, welcome back to the program. My guest is seated. He is Engineer Barry Simonets, Chief Executive Officer at Crossroom Group. We're looking at the state of Nigeria's refineries. Good morning to you, Engineer, and welcome to the program.
Thank you, and good morning to Nigerians.
Now, let's get started because we have a lot to discuss. Mele Kyari's statement. Mele Kyari, that's the GCEO of NNPC Limited statement just a few days ago, as well as a statement by the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources on the Port Harcourt and Kaduna refineries, which I mentioned earlier on, being ready between August to December. How confident should we be? And I must also situate it around what the GCEO said, that we are not lying to Nigerians.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think, at least in the country for today, the two authorities that will discuss effectively the state of our refineries are the Minister of State you mentioned, and then the G Group Executive Managing Director of the NNPC Limited. So they have information. They are the one who are directly involved in the processes that will lead to the refineries coming back on stream. Having said that, I'm sure Nigerians are worried because of previous promises and deadlines they were given on these things coming on stream, and yet they haven't seen that. And my own opinion is this: very simple. The evaluation of the readiness of the refineries is not a product of a policy statement. It's action position. Are there tankers taking product out of the refineries today? Are there products from the refineries going to filling stations? That is the measure Nigerians want to see. So whether we keep saying they will be ready, mechanical completion and all that, these are behind the scene activity. The system, the nation, the citizens will evaluate the availability and the efficiency of these systems when products emerge from those refineries and are seen in filling stations. It's as simple as that.
Like I mentioned at the beginning, I can count the many promises that we've been given, not even from now. I was reading, and of course we're all here when Obasanjo was also president. I mentioned when Obasanjo said that Nigeria's refineries will not work unless we privatize them. It goes to private hands. I'll come back to that later. But the issue here is the promises that have been made over the years, even during Ibekachukwu's time as petroleum minister, I think Minister of State too. He said, okay, this and that. And I remember I interviewed him. Then even when he left, I also interviewed him. I said, you promised us that these refineries will come on board, and yet we have not seen. So Mele Kyari and Heineken Lopobri, this is not, their predecessors have been giving us promises. But like you said, until Nigerians begin to see petrol being loaded to our filling stations, then we'll know that these people are working. What exactly is the issue? Why we're having these promises and our refineries are not working? From a technical standpoint, that's one. Then number two, they mentioned something, mechanical completion. In fact, I had to go back, and I remember that the former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Timipre, I think, at that time when they were going on tour and all of us, mechanical completion is here. And what exactly is mechanical completion, please?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I start from the later, the mechanical completion.
Okay.
Every process plant, of which refinery is a typical one, has two major engineering design systems. Number one is the mechanical facilities. The iron you see, the physical infrastructure you see, that's one. The second one is the process engineering system. The process engineering system is the engineering design process that ensures that with your projected input, your projected output will be as designed. That's called process engineering system. So when you finish a plant, mechanically, all the bolts have been tied, all the installations have been made, and everything is good to go. That is called mechanical completion. It does not mean that the desired product from that plant will come. Two things will be responsible for ensuring that the desired product will come. Number one, you must charge that plant with the required feedstock.
That's the product in this case.
The crude oil,
Crude
in this
oil.
case. In this case, the crude oil.
The crude oil.
If you don't have the crude oil, mechanical completion can be there, you have nothing. So the crude oil must be available and must be streamed regularly in accordance with the design of the plant. When we say a plant is 110,000 barrels per day stream day, it means every blessed day, 110,000 barrels of crude oil must enter that plant. Every blessed day, uninterruptedly. And the process system is efficiently designed to operate 24/7. In other words, it must operate 24 hours non-stop for 7 days of the week. So there's nothing like there's 100,000 barrels today, tomorrow I give you 90, the next day I bring 110, the required capacity. No. The efficiency of that system is predicated on that stream supply of the feedstock, the crude oil. That's number one. Number two, when you supply a crude oil into a process system, the process engineering has determined that, and the complexity of refinery is that a crude one feedstock charge gives you multiple products from the PMS, AGO, ATK, maybe the fuel oil, depending on the configuration. Those are things that are supposed to come out from a single charge of that crude oil. And so, after mechanical completion, you must ensure through the process design that when you put that volume of crude oil, that as you have planned, you are getting so percentage of PMS, you are getting so percent of AGO. Initial plants like the Dangote refinery, when you finish mechanical completion and you charge it, you have to calibrate the refinery. In other words, you have to test whether those yields are as designed, because it's only design you have done. Most times, they may not be exactly the same. I understand that the first stream that came out of Dangote refinery has some shortfall in spec expectation, and it is normal. All you needed to do is now calibrate the stream, tweak the process systems, alter the chemistry a little bit. You must continue to do this process until the yields are out as originally conceived and designed. And so you run it over time, and you are now sure your plant is good to go. And that's when you have full completion of the refinery. So mechanical completion is the facility building, design, the bolts and nuts, the towers, installations, and all that. But the final completion is the process system engineering audit, ensuring that as projected at your design stage, you are getting all that elements out of the refinery.
So how many completion stages do we have? Sorry, I'm going a bit technical, even though this is not my field, because what I hear you say, mechanical completion is not operational completion, if there's
Correct.
something like that.
Correct.
Do you understand?
Yes.
And not efficiency, now operational.
Yes.
So what will it take for us, for our refineries to be operational? Because now, mechanical, that means all the bolts and nuts and everything, all the pipes and
Yes.
are working according to them. What will it take for those things now to give us operationalization? Because perhaps that's where we are.
Yes, that's where we are.
Okay, so what will it take? And why haven't we seen the operationalization since? Because I'm aware that the mechanical completion has been on since, at least since last year, since we were told by the officials
Yes.
of the government. So how long will it take for us to get operationalization? That's one. Then number two, why do you think that we've not also gotten operationalization? I'm situating this question. I've spoken to a few former NNPC staff too that says why the refineries are not working could also be attributed to budgeted funds do not get to the refineries. That perhaps when they come, situation don't change. Some also attribute it to a bit of hanky-panky and all of that. I also know you have inside information too, if you can give us why operationalization is not feasible.
Thank you very much for that question. My view, based on my experience with the Nigerian refineries, is the fact that the Nigerian systems owned by government is not unique with the refineries. We know how they are all run because they are government owned. And so, like I mentioned in my earlier discussion, the first element that will ensure the operationalization, if I might borrow your word,
Is
of
there
refineries.
another word for it? I don't know the word.
No.
That's why
I
I
mean,
said operationalization.
words are not the issue here.
Okay.
The issue is the meaning of what you want to hear.
Okay.
The point you're saying is that when will the refineries start working?
Working,
That's
simple.
all. That's what you're
Yes,
asking for.
yes.
And if you remember, I said the first thing is this. When you finish your mechanical completion, do you have your crude oil stock fully arranged, planned for the next 30, 60, 90 days, 1 year? Do you have that program in place? Because your plant is supposed to function uninterruptedly. So if you don't have that in place, that's a challenge. Now, to take it to your question, you see, the crude oil, the feedstock to the refineries, whether it's Dangote or whether it's NNPC, is a function of your crude purchase plan. Now, for the NNPC refineries, NNPC has a statutory allocation of crude oil for the refineries. But you must also know that they can only get that when those crude are available. The nation has been battling with shortage in production capacity in crude oil. We are unable to meet our OPEC quota. All these things are part of the challenge. So, I mean, the mechanical completion can be ready, but they may not have even gotten a clear line of sight on how the crude will come to the plant continuously. One of the events you must be sure of is the existing refineries currently are charged by pipelines. They are fed by pipelines. And these pipelines, we know most of them are in a great state of disrepair. And so that you have finished the plant and they open the crude oil from you at the crude source, you might lose all the crude oil. They might not get to the plant. So NNPC also need to inform the public whether the feed lines are ready as well. That's number one. Number two, whether the supply of the crude arrangement is also firm and in place. I had said before, and we all know that, the only source of foreign exchange, 80% of foreign exchange earning of the country is from crude oil. So there's a pressure to sell the crude oil to get the FX. Whereas that same crude oil is needed in the refineries. So the policymakers are caught between that. Do we give them to the refineries and not earn FX to run other programs, or do we sell them and starve the refinery? This is the pull and push forces that are affecting the refinery. I know refinery for a long time has suffered from short supply of feedstock. We can say that with all assurance. They haven't had uninterrupted supply of feedstock. That's number one. Number two, when you put the feedstock into the refinery, it's going to be operated by human beings. These are the operators of the refinery. I don't know the state of the employment of the refinery workers since these refineries have been down for the past 4 or 5 years, the Nigerian refinery, the NNPC refineries. And some of the strong hands, well-trained hands in refining, some of them had reached their retirement stage and have exited the system. Have NNPC prepared and trained the substitute staff that will take over the operations? Do they have requisite experience? Have they been tested in refining? These are the elements that will affect the realization of the dream of having smooth flow of product from the refinery.
What do you think is the biggest risk we face in terms of our refineries not taking off? Because you've said a few things here, staffing, adequate,
supply.
yes, crude supply, which is very essential,
Key.
because this industry is about even forward contracts and all
Yes,
of that.
exactly.
And with the optimism of the government now saying that it will do about 2 million barrels per day by the end of this year. What do you think about that? Because you just that's your your giggle was a bit, you know.
Madam, yeah,
Yes.
I can't but wish the nation the realization of the expectation of 2 million barrels per day, and I call it a wish. To ramp up production capacity of crude oil is a bit of complicated process. If you remember in the last, there are two major challenges. One is lack of investment in recent times to continue to ramp up our production and then rework the existing wells, put them functional. Because when you finish drilling a well and you produce the well, you must have a recurrent budget with which you must continue to improve on the well so that it will continue to give you the yield. Crude oil is pumped from deep down below the ground, and there are other impurities that come in when you are pumping crude oil. You must continuously optimize and decant and remove those impurities. So if you don't have any investment, any budget for these particular processes, you will not get the crude improvement as you would desire. That's number one. Number two, we know the IOCs who have been in charge of ensuring our production capacity over time have divested from most of the land and swamp operations and going to deep offshore. What that means is that Nigerian firms are gradually taking over these places. But do they have the requisite deep pocket to run an operation that is seamless like the IOCs did in the past? That seamless operation will require that they must have a schedule reworking of the wells, and it will happen at that time. Not, oh, the CEO is not around, he has traveled, and so there's no budget for that. This industry is an international industry. Our competitors are not local. Our competitors are international. You mentioned Saudi Aramco. Saudi Aramco is top. Petrobras, Petronas. These are national oil companies, not individual. I'm not talking about IOCs. No, I'm talking about national oil companies, and they are efficiently operating.
So with this now, that brings me to the next question of privatization.
Yes.
Because it's also been said in the past that until we give it to private hands like we did for Nitel,
Yes.
like we did now for power,
Yes.
let's give our refineries to private people to manage. With the examples abroad, overseas, what do you think we should do?
Yes. President Olusegun Obasanjo at his time thought very wisely to privatize the refineries and hand it over to Nigerians to take over and operate it. And that policy was reversed by his successor. And then we've been trapped with it. But even from privilege of hindsight, if you ask me, privilege of hindsight, I think there's something fundamental about our belief in science. Our people believing that these processes will yield the desired result. We are still laid back. That if I go to the successful privatization you have mentioned, the Nitel privatization, who were the operators that took over? International telecommunication companies, not Nigerian companies. Glo just came later in the line and was forced to fight with these guys. They're talking about power. How are we dealing with the power that only locals have taken over? You need to answer that, madam. How are we dealing with power? Locals took over power. Do we have power? So there's something about us.
So are you saying that, you see, and that was what I raised at the beginning, that when other people are going to the right, we are going to the left, and we are justifying our going to the left that we're a special breed of people. But other countries are doing it well. Saudi Aramco is national. Saudi Aramco just brought out, was it 2.5% of its stake in Saudi Aramco, or was it 5%? And they made trillions
Yes.
of Saudi riyals.
Yes,
They
yes.
got about, can't remember, whether $2.5 trillion or so, from just small fraction that they said, come and see, make we just give una a small piece of the pie. And that gave Saudi Arabia money. What's it called? The one in Brazil.
Petrobras.
There's one in Malaysia.
Petrobras.
They
are major
scattered.
Successful corporations.
Government.
Let me give you one example, one other thing that will let you know.
So you're saying that we should hand it over to private people? Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm not saying that directly. I just gave you a corollary that it depends on who are these private people.
Even for sovereignty's sake and all of that, shouldn't we handle what is ours?
We should. My own thinking is this. The operators of these systems that are still operating like civil servants, that's where the issues are. Then mental orientation on efficiency and professionalism should be the issue, because these operators are not trained in no schools. They were trained in the same schools where these foreign operators are trained. But when we come back here, madam, we're even going too far. How many Nigerian companies are building our roads? So these are the issues. And building road is not rocket science, but we don't have any serious Nigerian construction company building our roads.
Is it that because we do not have, or the government do not have political willingness to engage Nigerian contractors? Because
combination of that factor.
Because you're an engineer. We produce many engineers every year in the country. If we begin to give that excuse, when do we now begin to have that expertise to build our own country?
My position
and
is
not
very
be giving the likes of the popular companies. At the end of the day, they change it to dollars. They go to their country.
My own position is
because if they give local contractors, this economy we had now, no go hard as it be. Because
I agree with
money
you.
go they circulate. Up to the woman that is selling akara on the street, we get it because
Madam,
monies are in the hands of Nigerians.
I have always said this, that give the projects to Nigerian firms, let them work, let them fail, let them repeat,
yes,
let them fail.
That's how China got it.
That's how everybody got it.
They didn't come to tell Nigeria to come and do it.
You can't succeed by being aversive, avoiding the errors of failure. You can't succeed. You must try, you must insist. And that's
I know they will say, okay, it comes at a cost. Failure will come at a cost. Now money will expend, but something must give.
But subletting or exporting comes at a greater cost. I listened to Dangote's interview the other day. He made a very powerful speech. He said the target is for the export, and that the export is the extra over local need. And that extra over can be sold at a discount so that it becomes cheaper. He said, he gave an example. He said, go to Samsung in South Korea. What you buy a piece of electronic in Samsung, it's more expensive than what you buy it in Nigeria. The one they are exporting in Nigeria there is lower, not in quality, but in price. And Dangote said they are exporting poverty and creating employment in their country. That's what they're doing. So when they give you that, they stop you from producing and you become poorer, and they are producing and creating employment in their place. So you must begin to think like this. So as an entrepreneur like Dangote, he has already seen this. The challenge here now is this. For me, government must have a deliberate policy to insist that we do these things, and then we will build and improve as we fail.
Okay. Just as we close, you talked about Dangote, and let's end there. Dangote, like I said, has been talking in the last few weeks. I've never seen him talk like this. He's calling us journalists everywhere to come and speak. Now, the issue is that Dangote also said that the 20% stake of NNPC Limited in his refinery has reduced. NNPC was supposed to pay, I think, $2.76 billion. Now it has 7.2% stake. Were you surprised with that announcement? With that?
No, for me, it's purely economics. He knows their numbers. Madam Nancy, you're a better authority in this. This is a share play thing. You make a share purchase. The value of your share is a function of the value of your investment at that particular time. So, and we don't know how how they invested, whether it's Naira investment, and we know
It's
the
dollars.
devaluation that has gone between then and now. Maybe that's how they rated their equity.
And the
I don't
NNPC
know.
GCO said, Limited said that it's purely a commercial
That's
decision.
exactly what I just said here.
So-
It's purely a commercial decision. So they will know why the values came down.
Whether is it also possible that government does not have so much money again to put into Dangote refinery? So the little money they put, let's just have that percentage.
But that's the point. The government has a limited purse. And they share this purse among so many contending needs.
Okay.
So they can't easily, say, oh, let us put it on all in this place. Okay. But I can say this in closing, that there is hope with people like Dangote on stream going through his natural tooting problem of a new process plant. The feedstock shortage and all that. He will come through it because the product he needs to buy to put in his plant has been given to people on contract for 1 year, for 2 years. So they won't just cancel contract to give to him.
Okay.
So the contract will have to run out. The government must be conscious and, ready to engage in the sales of the crude oil to Dangote.
Okay. So any headway for our 4 refineries by the end of the year? Quickly, we need to go.
Yeah, I wouldn't, like I said again, it is...
Or by December, we'll come back here again and
maybe the authorities have also told us that we'll be ready by December.
Okay,
let's watch and
let's
see.
wait by December.
Thank you very much.
Let's wait till December. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much
for coming.
Thank you.
All right, I've been speaking with Engineer Barry Simone, Chief Executive Officer at Crossstream Group. We've been looking at the state of Nigeria's refineries. Like you said, by God's grace, we'll all be here by December, and we'll either see if it works or not. But we wish the country well. Like I always say, be the best you can be and be the change that you want to see. I am Nancy Nadia. I'll see you all again tomorrow. Bye now. Thank you for watching. In case this is your first time watching us, thank you. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, drop your comments as well as like, and most of all, share our content.